Hello YouTube, this is Joakim, back again. Want to talk about this book, Captain America by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting and Mike Perkins. This is one of the greatest reads that I've done lately. I've read this Captain America book 3 times now, and each and every time it's the best. It's hard to describe actually if you haven't read it yourself. I highly recommend that you do. You do not necessarily have to buy it in the Omnibus editions. Remember, there are paperback editions and there's also digital comics. I just want you to enjoy and read this series because it is one of the main inspirations, I believe, for the Captain America Winter Soldier movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If it's not, it does heavily borrow a lot of elements from this book. And not only is the Winter Soldier introduced within this series, but there's also a lot of other characters that are introduced within it. But aside from the Winter Soldier, it also collects a lot of other Captain America villains and introduces them in this new era. This series collects Captain America issue number 1 to 25, so it is a neat renumbering, and therefore it is a good starting point for a Captain America reader. And me myself, I only actually have collected the Captain America by Ed Brubaker volumes, and I do believe that they are the essential volumes if you are interested in Captain America but do not necessarily want to read everything of Captain America. I think this version introduces you to the character and the villains and the sidekicks characters and supporting characters without any sort of struggle. It feels very organic, and you get to have flashbacks which introduces all the characters very organically into how they are implemented in this current Captain America run. And on the backside here, you can see the life of a legend, the death of a dream. And you get the covers for all of the issues that are collected within this edition. I love when they do this because I do not collect single issues anymore. So it's nice to just be able to look at the single issues without actually having them. And of course, the covers are shown within the book itself, but if you do not want to flip through the pages, you have it here. And of course, a small introduction to what we get to see in this edition. And as I said, collects issues number 1 to 25 and a Captain America 65th anniversary special and the Winter Soldier Winter Kills one-shot. And yeah, let's get into this. Beneath the dust jacket, there are reprints of this omnibus, but this is an older version and therefore it has this dark blue, I do believe this is fake leather, but it has a leathery feel on the hardcover book itself. And of course get an introduction for the storylines, and I myself try to not read this because I think that it spoils the events, and the creators, I rarely actually read this, but it's there and you should know that. And the book itself, it's a sewn glued binding like a lot of books, and this one has held up pretty good for its age, I would say. And I haven't really checked on when this was printed. I believe it was printed in 2011. And by the publishing date, it was printed in 2009. So, yeah, I'll fix the focus there. So, this is a now 17-year-old book that I'm holding. And it still holds up. So, good on you, Marvel. And here we have the different storylines and artists on each and every one of them. And the introduction. I would not read the introduction the first time that I read this, in case they still use the same introduction from 2007. because it does spoil some of the story arcs. So if you want to just dive into it, just start reading immediately. And of course here we have an introduction right away with the Red Skull. And we also get an introduction to Alexander Lukin, which is this guy, this man over here. A character that I was not familiar with in the beginning of his run, but as we go along, we get deeper and deeper into it. And the artwork, I should say, by Steve Epting is gorgeous. The implementation of just mixing genres of Captain America along with spy thriller is something that is a genius stroke, I would say. Ed Brubaker does a lot of detective stories in his independent work, and this storyline is definitely a detective story. I mean, as you go along, it's a lot of espionage and a lot of twists along the way. And as it should be, we have our supporting characters here of Agent 13 or Sharon Carter, which is a lot different from her MCU depiction, I would say. But a lot of characters are. I mean, but this is the sketchwork printing for it. And yeah, you get a lot of panels where there's a lot of word bubbles, a lot of talking. It's good talking because it's great script. And then you get panel layouts like this, where there's just action and really flows, and you really get into it. I love the coloring on it. Really dark blacks and popping colors. And then you get these night scenes with great oranges. And then you get a lot of flashbacks as well for Captain America, and those are often depicted in black and white as we go back to the 1940s. So really good use of the coloring within the storytelling as well. Here you can see back in World War II, we get a lot of flashbacks with Captain America and of course Bucky. And if I'm just gonna flip through random opening spreads, here we have the lonesome death of Jack Monroe. Who is Jack Monroe? I had no idea, but we get into the history of characters that took on the mantle of Captain America and Bucky in a time where they weren't around. So even though that Captain America fell to his fate in the end of World War II and Bucky Barnes disappeared or allegedly died, they still had, the American people and military felt that they still needed to have characters or have Captain America and Bucky to still go along. And I mean, they were mascots for the military basically, but they still had a leading role in it. But they just felt that we just can't let go of the symbol, we still need it. And here you can actually see that this book has taken some damage over the years, but it still holds up, So be careful telling you that. Here we have Falcon, Sam Wilson, of course. And yeah, Iron Man shows up in this one. So it really feels like you get to both get introduced to a lot of villains and a lot of supporting cast overall. Here we have a very classic looking Captain America cover, almost going back to the 1940s variants, I suppose. And here we have a spread with the Winter Soldier. And yeah, don't look too closely here, but yeah, I love this artwork. Here we have Sin and of course Crossbones. Crossbones wasn't utilized as much in the MCU, if that is your only time you were familiar with that character. here Rumlow actually stays around for a bit longer than just an introduction scene. And yeah, I don't know what more to say about this edition without spoiling too much. Here we have a great one-shot issue, the 65th anniversary special with Marcus Martin as an artist. Really grew to appreciate his artwork over time, mostly from when I read Spider-Man by Dan Slott. He uses Marcus Martin artwork a lot in his run. And yeah, without spoiling too much about this series does lead into the Marvel Civil War storyline. And of course, with Captain America and Iron Man in the center of it, Captain America plays a huge role in that event. And this series works excellent around that. And yeah, you can just keep on reading the Civil War event after reading this one, and then you start off with the next volume, I would say. And yeah, Steve Epting's artwork is almost entirely through this whole volume, as you can see, and I'm almost afraid to flip through this because I don't want to spoil anything for you. But if you are interested in checking out Captain America by Ed Brubaker, I would say don't hesitate. This is a great introduction volume. It's great artwork by Steve Epting. You can also check out Velvet, I would say. That is an independent comic book or published by Image, where they both collaborated again. And it has a lot of a feel from this run. Of course, independent characters. But if you want to follow Captain America, I believe that this is the book for you. So, thanks so much for hearing me talk about Captain America by Ed Brubaker. Hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Until then, take care.